Hello and welcome to Black Music Footprints. My name is Mondre Moffett. What we do here on Black Music Footprints is we celebrate the rich performance tradition of African American music, where we walk in the footsteps of giants. And on my next show, it would be no exception. We have in the studio with me, he's in the house, someone I'm going to introduce to some and present to others, a man that is the orchestrator and the arranger of the gospel sound. And I'll tell you more about that. He's the MD for St. Stephen Baptist Church. Would you give a nice, warm welcome for my guest, Mr. Brian Lofton?
How you doing, man?
Doing good. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to be here. Good to be here.
I've always been an admirer of what you do. I use the word MD, and some people might think that means medical doctor. I'm not sure. But first, explain to me what an MD is. That's the terminology that we've used in the music business a lot of times in film and musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
But indeed, kind of what are your duties as an MD?
So basically, being the music director or the musical director, basically I'm responsible for all things band, if that makes sense. So scheduling, making sure that services are covered, with the musician, making sure that the band knows the music, they have the music, they're rehearsed, just whatever it is, like I say, all things band, just make sure that we are in sync.
Yeah. So you're dealing with a very diverse aspects of the elements of music with, sound dynamics, blending.
Mm-hmm.
You are indeed orchestrating and arranging the music in a way that is complementary. One of the things that I admire most from someone who's sitting in your chair,
Mm-hmm.
You have the choir master. The choir master is usually standing.
Mm-hmm.
The lights on the choir master, standing tall and looking down. The MD is sitting
Mm-hmm.
and looking up.
Yeah.
And that's quite a metaphor. Kind of behind the scenes, but looking up. And so there's something really sacred and really special and spiritual about the role itself of being an MD. It comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does. It absolutely does. Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit about your journey. We know that to arrive at a point where you would be the MD of a great ministry like we have here at St. Stephen Church, with all of the musical giants that are here, very competent musicians. Where did this come from? What's your story? I mean, where are you from? Who are some of your early influences? How did you arrive to be the Brian Lofton that we see and so love today?
Man. Wow. The interesting thing is, if you ask me this outside of the cameras and stuff like that, I could tell you, a million things. But
yeah,
I'm from Chicago, born and raised in Chicago, and I don't know, my everybody in my family seemed to be able to play. My grandfather, my mom, my grandmother, everybody played. And actually, one of my first instrument was drums, to be honest with you. I played drums all through grammar school, high school, the whole 9 yards. That was my thing, drums and all of that. And growing up in church in Chicago, the musicians there, the musicianship in Chicago is phenomenal. And so I have a huge church upbringing. Like I say, my family played. My grandfather played for several churches on Sunday, so I attended with him and watched him do what he did. He played for a Methodist church. He played for a Baptist church. Different types of music every week. So I was fortunate enough to grow up under someone like him. His name was William Webb, from Chicago Heights. It's like a suburb of Chicago. And he played and taught me how to play to a large degree. And so I got a lot of my hymn background from him and my grandmother. They played so many hymns and spirituals and that type of stuff. So I got a lot of that from them. And just the older I got, I branched out into keyboard and playing bass, and I've been fortunate enough to play for some really wonderful people in the gospel industry. Some really wonderful churches in Chicago. I played for a long time at Bishop Larry Trotter's church in Chicago, Sweet Holy Spirit. I was a music director there for quite a few years. No, I was just, like I said, I was fortunate enough to play and be a part of their ministry and play on the countless records with Sweet Holy. I played for Vashawn Mitchell, a few people from Chicago, Malcolm Williams. So I mean, so just so many different people. I've been able to be a part of their ministries, and that's kind of where I started at.
Well, that's when our ancestors came here to this, over the diaspora and slave ships.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horrible experience, and all they had when they arrived here was their memory and their imagination. And so what I see from you is that you have a lot committed to this memory. You inherit this memory of our ancestors.
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine, you mentioned the hymns that your grandfather taught you and all these, the church songs, the gospel, and all the different artists. You're able to retain all this information. And how many songs do you know hundreds of songs. I was going to ask you how many songs you know, but that's probably impossible for you to come up with a number. But you must have a lot of music that you already know.
Yes, sir.
From the committed to memory.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so I was going to see, you do what I've defined as kind of like a typical church musician, in the sense that playing all the instruments.
Oh, yeah.
I talk with so many musicians in the church, group in the church. Well, I started on drums.
Mm-hmm.
And I said at the introduction that you, were, in essence, a master of the gospel beat, not really knowing that you were a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
You played, I want to say that you were one with a handful of keys, being that the keyboard player that you are, and constantly orchestrating the sound of your musicians. But and then the bass, we learned that you had bass experience. So you really know what the role of each instrument should be, and how they should, fit into the scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really amazing that you're gifted in that way. But when your grandfather was teaching initially, how much was it was observation, and how much of it was hands-on?
I think I would say it was 50-50, honestly, because he, I would say it was 50-50, because I got an opportunity to go with him on Sundays when he played. Like I said, I think he played for 3 different churches on Sunday, and we started at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And the first service was like 7:30, and the next service was like 10 o'clock, and another one was at maybe 12:30 or so. And I got an opportunity a lot of those times. I was the drummer when I was little. He was playing organ, I would play drums. And I kind of switched over and started tinkering on the keys and stuff like that. So I was able to, and then just kind of watching him play every week and hearing these songs every week, I got an opportunity to really sit and play. And he had an organ and a piano at his house. So a lot of times, whatever I heard on Sunday that I wasn't able to pick up then, I would just ask him throughout the week to show it to me at the house or whatnot. And I was able to get that from him.
Mm-hmm. This Chicago in our musical history is like a bombshell of just so many talent and so much talent and so many forms of African American music emerged in Chicago. You know, from the early 20s, you had Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith and the blues masters, and then you had Thomas the urban blues and Thomas Dorsey coming out of the blues culture, you know, developing his church, his first gospel choir, and Pilgrim Baptist Church and those places like that. And then you had, you know, King Oliver and Louis Armstrong playing jazz, playing the New Orleans jazz, migrating to Chicago, and then you have the Chicago going into a Chicago style jazz. And then you had, you know, also Mahalia Jackson, and then you had Elvis Cleveland, and then you had the Caravans and Roberta Martin singers, and, you know, Sister Rosetta Thorpe. I mean, Chicago, man. And then, I mean, all you had to do is just live there and drink the water or something to become, you know, steeped in that culture, steeped in that heritage. But it's a fascination that I'm seeing a parallel relationship between Chicago and Louisville, where there seem to be, with certain musicians migrating into Louisville and creating what I'm defining, I'm getting to realize is the Louisville sound. There's a Louisville sound. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. There's a Louisville sound. And you made your way to Louisville. Did you have any relatives here?
I don't have any relatives here. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I've been here for 2.5 years now. No family, none of that, just starting over.
Yeah, you got here about the same time I arrived here.
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I came here from North Carolina by way of Brooklyn, New York, you know. And so I saw you sitting at the piano, just your profile. See, you know, it's like that also, that symphony conductor who's conducting these masterful pieces, but his back is turned to the audience the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I've always been fascinated with people like that who had such a profound effect on the culture and on what's happening, but yet so humble. The humility of you're sitting where everybody else is standing, and you're looking up and everybody else is looking down. But it takes a lot of humility to sit in that seat, and confidence, and extraordinarily effectiveness and skillfulness. You're a craftsman. Your craftsmanship is just par excellence, and I just want to commend you.
Oh, bless you, man.
I've been watching you for at least 2 years now. I've seen you do Earth, Wind, and Fire. At the drop of the hat, I mean, it's like, okay, we got a special event. We're going to honor the pastor. We're going to do an Earth, Wind, and Fire night. And I'm saying, okay, are they going to ship in the band or? No, it's the same guys that I just saw Sunday.
Yeah.
Under your MD leadership, conducting this Earth, Wind, and Fire music. I don't know the difference. I mean, it sounds great. And you're able to make those adjustments. Well, I tell you now, we're going to take a brief pause for the calls. We'll be right back with master musician Brian Lofton. Stay tuned.
Did you know that the word alma mater comes from the Latin meaning nurturing mother? One of our primary objectives at Simmons College of Kentucky is to nurture late bloomers. So it doesn't matter if you struggle through high school just to graduate, or even if you earn your GED. We don't look at a student's past, we look at their potential. Simmons College of Kentucky, creating the next generation of thinkers.
Yeah, we're back with musician extraordinaire Brian Lofton, MD, music director for not his first rodeo, by the way, but he is at St. Stephen Baptist Church in Louisville, Kentucky, outstanding ministry, second to none in terms of the musicians here that he has to work with. And so I am just delighted to have you again in the studio. I wanted to ask you, like I said, I know you know many pieces of music.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about what might be one of your favorite hymns or one of your favorite gospel songs to play.
Man, there's so many. Coming from Chicago, and this might be a little simple. And honestly, I'm a simple guy when it comes to music. A lot of times, just because I think the way that I hear or listen to music and the way it makes me feel, sometimes I think it's just different than others. But coming from Chicago, there's a choir. There was a pastor from the west side of Chicago named Milton Brunson and the Thompson Community Singers. And I grew up listening to all of their music. My dad used to play them all the time around the house. Choirs in Chicago, everybody would sing their music. And there was one song, it's called Rest for the Weary. It's kind of upbeat tune, but man, every time I hear that song, I mean, if it's 5 years or 6 years that goes past and I don't hear it, if I hear it again, man, it's just the way that it makes me feel, man. It's like I'm hearing it again for the first time. So I would probably say that's probably one of my favorite songs to listen to, and probably I would say to play as well.
Rest for the Weary. I look forward to checking that out.
Yeah.
And you also, play it as well and get the same type of response.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fun song. It's just got a groove. It just gives me a certain type of feeling, man. It just makes me feel really, really good. And it's just something fun to just play around with, But like I say, I've been listening to that song since I was a young boy. And still, literally to this day, it still gives me the same feeling that it did. It's like pure nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. What about in the hymns department?
Let me see. I don't know. As hymns, I would probably say Blessed Assurance.
Oh, I was right on my mind.
Yeah, Blessed Assurance. Yeah.
I was serving as a minister of music of an instrumental department in Oakland, California, Allen Temple Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding ministry. And that hymn, Blessed Assurance, we knew that if we really wanted to get the congregation up and involved and on their feet,
mm-hmm.
That Blessed Assurance was the song to do it. and so not only that, we would play it in different time meters. So if we played Blessed Assurance and 4/4 time
mm-hmm.
and duple meter, people would enjoy it, they would be with it. But if we put Blessed Assurance and triple meter in 3/4,
okay,
I guarantee you they were on their feet.
Yeah.
It's something about that 3/4 time that resonate with the church. Were there any songs that in your experiences that you knew that would really, the church would like, oh, it was a bright spot, a shining star within the congregation?
Yeah, I would say yes. But I also think that it absolutely depended on what church you were at, because there's some songs at some churches that are just staples there. And it doesn't matter, when you pull them out, if you sing them. Matter of fact, there's some churches where you can play a song every Sunday and sing the same song every Sunday, and every time you sing them, if it's a staple, they're gonna get up and go with you. So, but I think in my experience, it's really been more about, what kind of church.
Yeah. I can understand that. So Blessed Assurance is one of the great hymns of the churches, no doubt. It's just universally loved. And so your job as an MD, a lot of times you're taking on the role of playing an accompaniment to either choir, full-blown choir of different voices.
Yeah.
Or also playing a accompaniment to maybe just an individual singer.
Yeah.
And so is there a particular thing that you've learned over the years with how to, that you can share with how to really be a musical accompaniment to someone, yet at the same time have a very interesting role in terms of the musicality of what you're doing, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I would probably say less is more.
Ah,
Less is always more. That's something that I've been taught, and I know that you've probably been taught as well. Less is
yeah.
more.
That's one of my favorite sayings.
Yeah.
And I never
Yeah.
said it to you, but yeah.
Yeah, less is definitely more. And just be attentive. Be attentive to what's being sung, and be attentive to the environment that you're in as well. Um, and play from your heart, you know.
Wow. Now, I don't want that moment to slip by, but the profound response that you just made, be attentive, less is more, play from your heart.
Yes, sir.
Those are very instructional things to becoming a musician at the highest level.
Yes, sir.
Because most musicians tend to want to, play everything they know.
Yeah.
I can play fast, I'll play fast, but can you play slow? Is the
Yes,
question.
sir. Yes, sir.
And so that is very, very. If one can keep those things in mind, I think they'll be okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree.
And so you convey this to your musicians, and keep it simple. Be attentive.
Yes, sir.
Because there may be times when you need to bring it up, not only in rhythm and add notes or in volume.
Yes, sir.
Dynamics, all those attributes and ingredients that it takes to make a cake, as I say, to make music. But you can't make a cake without the flour, the sugar, the butter, and all those things.
Absolutely.
And so music is like that. You need to have accessibility to all those things, and then also knowing the ability of your musicians.
Yeah, yeah.
To select. It's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into being a leader. An MD is a musician's musician, truly a musician's musician. It's the person that we look to get our inspiration as we deliver the message to the people. Wow, this has really been great. So you journeyed from Chicago, you acquired those skills from your elders, from your family, and that's pretty much a trend among many of us. I come from a musical family.
Yes, sir.
And but there's those people outside of your family that influence you in a special way.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I don't know if you mentioned anybody outside your family, other than you mentioned your grandmother, your grandfather, your mother, all musicians. Was there anyone, because you had schooling, and was there any special person? Like, I'm just going to give you an example. Somebody asked me, "What's your biggest influence?" Now, my daddy was a great musician, drummer. All my brothers play, but I think it's William Singletary comes to mind. He was my third grade teacher. He gave me my first formal trumpet lesson.
Oh, wow.
Had a tremendous impact. His passion for the music. He's the first. I call his name first, always.
Oh, wow.
Who's your greatest influence? William Singletary. No relationship. Is that you have somebody like that?
I really do. So I play piano, I play organ, drums, bass, and all of that. But when I really developed a love for playing organ, I remember I was probably about 12, maybe 12 or 13, and I used to listen to the radio at night. Like on Sunday nights, Sundays in Chicago on the radio was just it was great. You listen from maybe 12 o'clock until 12 o'clock at night. There's a different church coming on every hour. And I remember I was listening to the radio one night, and this church came on. I had never heard it. And this guy was playing the organ, man, and oh my goodness, man, the stuff he was playing and the way that he was I won't say manipulating the service or the organ, but the way that he just maneuvered on that organ, man, was just phenomenal. His name is Ernest Allen Jr. He's a phenomenal musician, man. And I got an opportunity to meet him at a very early age. Actually, his dad and his mom had a music studio. They would teach musicians how to play by ear, the Allen Music Studio in Chicago. But he taught me almost 75% of what I know, at least, about how to play in church, organ decorum, church decorum, the way that he handles music, man, it's just incredible. And he took me under his wing at a young age, and even now we still have great relationship. But I would say that he's definitely been that influence for sure. That person that, yeah.
They give me his name again.
His name is Ernest Allen Jr. He's from Chicago.
Allen. Unsung hero.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Unsung. I would love to hear him. I would love to hear your grandfather as well.
Yeah.
You used this word now at church, organ decorum.
Yeah.
He taught you organ decorum.
Yeah.
That's something we need to have in school. I'm a professor at Simmons College. Maybe I'm to design a course called organ decorum and have you be one of the teachers. And church, you said church decorum.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. But the organ decorum, I'll be fascinated to know what that protocol is like, what that looks like, But yes, it's really been a fascinating thing to talk with you. We're almost out of time. Matter of fact, I usually play the name game at all of my shows. Mm-hmm. I call out a name and you give us a reaction.
Okay.
All right. Richard Smallwood.
Oh wow. Probably one of the best fuses of gospel and classical and orchestral music that I've probably ever heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Walter Hawkins.
Walter Hawkins, probably one of the best songwriters. Probably one of the best songwriters I think I've ever heard.
Wow.
Sure.
I had the pleasure of working with him. And every time I hear Walter Hawkins, it's always fresh, like you're hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great songwriting. And Andre Crouch. Well, I'll end on this note, Andre Crouch.
Andre Crouch. Just versatile. I mean, Andre Crouch's music is staples. They are staples in the Black church and our culture. His music is just a staple. You can go to any church or anywhere and hear his music. He's just a staple.
That's brilliant. That's so true. Wow, it's really, you've given us a lot of food, a lot to go and research and listen to. I just really want to thank you, Brian, for coming in and sharing this time with us here on Black Music Footprints.
I appreciate it.
Live here on SEC Live TV, where truth, justice, and power always prevail. My name is Mondre Moffett.